This, let's say, call it a statement, is to God and to all of those people who would take my side on this side of the battle. I call the side of the light. Uh, as I as I'm sitting here thinking, it's late at night. It's in the wee hours of the morning now, and although I was fixing to go to sleep, that something told me I needed to get this done uh, because I know that my ops were planning some kind of attack. I know that at the time I started this journey, when God came to see me, and that some people can't believe that, but I assure you now that He can sure do it, and He sure did. And I'd never heard of such a thing in this time. I used to think, okay, in Bible stories and things like that, that well, that was for then, and I didn't really think that God came down and did things like that around this time, because how many people do you know that have actually seen and talked to God, where where you could actually see Him and talk to Him, and He actually answered you back immediately? I don't know too many of those stories, but I have one. Uh, I just happened to be sleeping at one night. I was watching TV and fell asleep, and I don't know if this was in a dream, but it didn't feel like a dream. I felt like it was absolutely true, absolutely real in the 3D. And I heard a name. It woke me up. I don't think it was my name. It was perhaps another name that isn't even valid here on earth, but maybe somewhere in heaven. But when I heard it, I immediately knew that it was God. I just knew it, and so that's how I answered him. I said, "God." He said, "Yes." So I'm here. What do you say to that? And this wasn't like a dream because it was like just you and me talking. Anyhow, I said, what can I do for you? I want you to go on a journey with me. I said, well, God, I belong to you. So whatever you ask me to do, I'm going to do it. I used to think back in when I read these stories in the Bible, I think, like talk about Abraham. God came to him and he said, he gave him all this land. Lot went a different way. But Abraham there tended his sheep and whatnot. And he was doing pretty well. At some point, the angel of the Lord came to him. He said, as they were sitting there talking, and God promised him, he said, I'm going to make you. Well, you have to remember, I've been step back a little bit and talk about because everybody's involved in this one. You had Sarah, who was Abraham's wife, who couldn't bear children, and then you So she gave her handmaiden over to Abraham to make a child, so he wouldn't be without a child, carrying his name and whatnot. And as they was discussing things, with the angel of the Lord, and Sarah was in probably in another part of the house or wherever they lived, just kind of listening, the way people do. And God told Sarah he told Abraham that he would have a child, and Sarah would be the mother of that child. And of course, Sarah heard that, and she laughed, because how unbelievable is that? I think they were pretty old at that time. And God asked her, "Did you just laugh at me?" And it's kind of funny, isn't it? I mean, because believe it or not, the person I talked to, the God I talked to, was like that too. I didn't have to, I don't know. There's two parts to God. There's more than one part of the God. It seems like there are, because the person that comes to see you, talk to you, is pretty much it's a regular person, a regular that talks to you like a regular person. And but I think if you got way up there, you do the heavens and top tier of the heavens, and saw that God, that part of God, that's the one that we probably can't look upon without it costing us our lives. You better hit your knees and bow and not look at him, Right? So, of course, but this individual who said he was God, and I believe him. He was I imagine you're probably going, what did he look like? Well, he looked like a human being, and he had gray, long hair. He had, I remember his top was red, and he was dressed kind of like a Roman soldier, but he didn't have a helmet on, but kind of like a Roman soldier. He had a breastplate and stuff on, like a warrior. And so he told me that he wanted me to go on this journey, but I would have to get ready for this journey. And he said before that there was how he knew what he knew about me. He said they loved me. He said there was only one person, one type of person like me on the earth. There was no one else that could actually do what I have to do. I thought, what would you say to that? But he said, but I've got to get you ready. I said, but anyway, I asked him, I said, well, if you love me so much, then why on earth did I have to live the life that I've lived? Why would you let me go through all that? And he actually said, I did that on purpose. Okay. Okay. What do you say? He's God. I guess he has his reasons, but he told me what his reasons were. He said, the journey that you're fixing to take part in is not for the faint of heart. And you're not near enough, you're not even strong enough yet. I've got to get you there. And of course, they say that I came to this earth awakened, but I can tell you now that nobody told me anything about all this. All I knew is that I had at some point previous to all this, I had awoken, I didn't know what it was good for. I didn't know was what was to happen. I mean, if there anything at all. Uh, there was a there was a girl who was a friend of mine, and we liked each other a whole lot. I know that. At least I thought that we did. But she was married. I think we kissed. We kissed one time at her request, you know, and that's as far as it ever went. Because, well, first off, we weren't too. We were far apart. We were cities apart, and I had mine and she had hers. And I'm a little more loyal than that. And I thought that she was too, you know. And so I wouldn't dishonor her that way. I'd hope that she wouldn't dishonor me that way. But we talked a lot, you know. And, you know, she made me laugh sometimes, quite a bit. And so, you know, when she released herself enough to talk, will actually get authentic with me, I really liked her, you know. But anyway, but it seems as though we were able to somewhat communicate in a spiritual form, and you know, it's kind of weird. I don't know if y'all understand any of that, but that is, you know, that is what I thought probably was the catalyst to my waking up. And there was something different about her too. She seemed to be somewhat what do you call it, spiritual. Now, am I religious? No, I'm not. Do I believe in God? Yes, always, always. In fact, uh, going back into my childhood, even to a time when before it mattered, I hadn't even reached through kindergarten yet. I remember thinking to myself, "There's somebody somewhere up there somewhere that he's God," and I understood what God was. He was bigger than all of us, you know. He was a bigger status, way bigger, you know. And I wouldn't see him again until the end of my life, you know. That's the way I saw it, and that's what my little 3-year old brain told me. But I knew that there was a God. I also knew that I could kind of talk to the animals, you know, like be a dog, and the dog would always sit with me. He'd get up on the couch and sit on and put his head on my lap. And you know, I understood how he felt. I understood that he liked me. He was a little companion to me. And see, I could feel that. And I didn't understand until years later when I asked a sister who I'd only just met in my middle age. Uh, I said, you know, I told her about that. She said, "You're an empath." I said, "Real? Yeah, that makes sense. Now I get it. You see, I didn't know a whole lot about this stuff. I didn't know what it all meant. I was, you know, never really felt the need to pursue it much, you know, because the reason why I was the way I was life wasn't been all that great, and I that's why another thing told me, you're the black sheep, and I've always known that. I knew that word, you know, and I knew that in the family dynamic, that isn't really what you want to be. Now, I wear it like a crown. because it got me to this. And to me, it's a great honor to get to take that journey with God, you know. So anyhow, he told me, so I've got to get you ready. And so the first part of that journey was spending a lot of time alone and doing what God told me to do. I mean, he was, you know, and going through dark nights of the soul, and you know, you spend a lot of time thinking about past and where you're at, and you know, relationships you may have had. I mean, you go through a lot in those times alone that you go what they call hermit mode. You go deep, and you go deep into it, and you learn things about yourself. Do I know everything there is to know about myself? Will I ever? It's a pretty vast subject. Uh, but I do remember, I always remember this, that if it came down to people and God, and I knew that God was the first on the list, that he was the most important, you know. Why? Because I never felt like, really, I never felt like I was part of anybody, you know. Even in my family, I wasn't, I mean, they didn't really show me a whole lot of love. And I knew that a God who loves us, and he honestly does. I mean, look, he really did give us his child. Not listen, I've got one child and one son, just like God does. And I would kill somebody to hang him on the cross, you know. So to be able to do that, that took a lot of love between the two of them, you know, for his father to send him down here to do it, and for him to do it. That's so you see that's the extent of my religion. That's who I think is truly worthy to be worshipped. And now there are other people in the Bible that some other religions may, you know, look at, and I give them honor, but I don't worship them. You know, it is the three that I worship, and that's Father, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And who am I closest to? The Father. Because that's who I always, you know, when I relate, when I kneel to pray or whatever, that's who I'm praying to. I may do it in Jesus' name, but that I'm praying to the big guy up there. So going on with the story. So he also said that as he told me little things, and he told me to come back and we'll talk some more. But he had to get ready. He had to go see my counterpart, whom I didn't know, but I found out. He told me then. He says, and it's Ruth, who is the girl that I spoke of early on in this little story. And I thought, you know, so, I mean, somehow I just knew. I just knew that's who it would be, you know, that she was the only one that I knew who could actually meet me in that realm. I don't think she realized it, but I did. Anyhow, so we pushed a little further there, and I kind of went to sleep, and woke up the next day, and I called her, and I said, "Did you get a visit last night?" And she said, "Yes." "Really?" I said, "Oh, Ann, what happened?" And she said, "I told him no." I said, "Why?" My goodness. I thought that for sure everybody who was like me would jump at the chance to be able to be with God on something. I mean, and I'm sure that there are a lot of people like me who would jump on that, but she didn't. And in fact, and I just kind of, whenever I hung up, I thought, does she not know God owns the whole universe, everything in it? I would not even consider saying no to that, you know? I mean, it's kind of like you go to work every day or something, and your boss tells you to do something, you do it, and it's, because you need whatever he provides, and you know what I mean? Well, the way I see it, we certainly do need what God provides. All of us do. We don't even breathe without him. We don't do anything or have anything except that he lets it pass and go to us. Think about that. Someone told him no. I don't know what that's about, but hey, that's between her and God. At this point, it's not mine to say. Anyway, so going on the story, there was one reader who I used to listen to when the readers on YouTube, and I still do. I mean, periodically. But she seemed to know what she was talking about, because I didn't. I didn't know this. I barely knew anything at this point. But when I did get on there, they were talking, and they were all in an uproar about the Libra who had gone to visit from God. And I didn't even tell these people anything. They were already talking about it. I didn't know things travel that fast, but they were talking about me. I'm that Libra that God can see, and I said yes. So, and I got on there. I told them, well, okay, I'm that Libra, and I was asking a few questions or whatever, and I said, I'm waiting for the. She said, yes, I know, and I'll let you know whenever that time comes. And so while longer passed, the amount of time, I can't remember what it was, but I was told that she said, I'm not supposed to tell you the whole deal. I can't tell you exactly all the things that you would like me to tell you. What I'm supposed to only tell you is that you will go and you're going to kind of infiltrate into this coven of people who seem to have ties to like the Freemasons and whatnot, and one of those there was a coven of witches, and looking, that's what I thought of them then, and that's what they were doing. They were doing magic stuff, which I know nothing about, nor do I feel the need to do any of it, because as I've learned over time is that when you do some magic on somebody, hey, listen, you can do it, and you can make it happen, depending on if you're spiritual enough and you believe of these things and do whatever they're telling you to do or whatever, which I refuse to do. But it does affect people, especially people who are unaware of it. Excuse me. But what it also does is take away their free will, and that is the reason why I don't partake in that kind of things. Now, of course, we as like I said, Christians, okay, I'm a Christian. I That's the closest thing I can say of any kind of religion I have. And listen, spiritual people call people spiritualists and whatnot. Let me tell you about that spiritual stuff. Let me answer a question that was asked to me one time, and I was the only one who got it right. What is spirituality? That is the very means we use to communicate with our God. And our God is the God of all people. But the ones who recognize him the most are three, and that is the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians. That is going to take up the biggest majority of religious people on the earth. They are all the same God. In fact, Abraham and Isaac, their tombs are actually guarded by both religions of the Jews and the Muslims, because both of them started out with Abraham. Because remember, the handmaid's child was what we called the Muslims. That's what it would grow to be. And the Jews, of course, were Isaac. And that's how he became a father of many nations. And rightfully so. That's the way it went down. We can go back. But what I was getting to on this story about Abraham is that he was going to be, he had to go, and God told him, said, go to this place places I tell you to go to. And when you get there, you're going to build an altar. And then you're going to lay your son on that altar, and you're going to take his life as a sacrifice to me. Now, that's, of course, he had to know that if he did this, that he didn't think that God was going to take his child altogether, that he could raise that child again. And you see that where that goes, is that it's the same thing he had to do with his own son. He had to raise him again after he was dead. So, and that's, and because of that, when he did that, he lifted that knife to kill his son, God said, Abraham, don't harm the boy. Because he just had to know that he would do it. And at that point he proved it. Because if God was going to give this much to mankind, that he had to know that somebody was working down there to make that covenant with him, and because covenants with God aren't things that you go around breaking. I mean, I just see people getting divorced and stuff all the time, and that's basically a covenant, and they do that, and it's too bad that our society is not as loyal as God is. But we are humans, and we are fallible. God is not. He's not fallible. He's perfect. In my eyes, he's perfect. Now, does he give us, listen, what I got is, listen, God didn't choose me because I'm perfect. I tell you right now, there's no way I would ever get chosen. If I had to be perfect, then he wouldn't have chosen me. Because I am certainly not. I am not. I'm a human being, just like you. They call me an earth angel. When I get up there, I got wings. But listen, while I'm down here, I'm on a human experience, and I have no more powers than you or anybody else. I'm just a human being, and I have a heart. This is why I was chosen. I have a heart that is always open to love, and no matter what's happened to me, and believe me, I don't look anything like what I've been through. That I can truly say I've been through a lot, and I don't I don't close off to love because and I always knew, and I knew even coming into this, being as ignorant as I was, and as I hadn't really remembered hardly anything, I knew this much, that love conquers all, and it does. And if you can keep your heart and your mind together on this thing called love, if you're doing something out of love, it's probably not going to go bad for you on that deal. But if you're doing it on any other reason, because, say, like, going around stealing or trying to hurt people or being sneaky and doing just really generally messed up things to burn somebody, well, you're probably not going to do very well. You may win a few times, but eventually it's going to catch up to you. But when it comes to pure spiritual warfare, he calls me a warrior. Okay, and there was a time, being a Marine, and Marines are unique in one way, and that's our motto is Semper Fidelis. Semper Fidelis. It means always faithful, because when we go to battle, we take God with us, because we believe that as long as God's with us, we'll take that battle and we'll win. We will win with him with us. If we thought that he wasn't with us, most people won't fight as hard if they know that there's no God there with us. I mean, I don't know. It's just the way all the Marines I've ever that believed in God, it's the way we saw it. You know what I mean? Other cultures see things other ways, but that is that's a big deal to the Marines. Okay? We believe that you take God with us. God is a warring God. And he's not the guy you want to mess with. Especially when you're talking about messing with his kids, his children. And there are a whole bunch of us down here. So, in this job that I'm supposed to do for God, and he gave me a light, a way about me that's not like everybody else, because I love God and I believe what he says. I do. I don't have there's a lot of people I don't have a lot of faith in, and then there are some that I think the world of. There are some I think the world of and don't have any faith in. I know I trust them as far as I know I can trust them. But for God, absolutely I trust him. He told me, he says, well, you're going to go into this, and I'm more or less using you as bait. Okay. and don't fear anything, because don't worry, you're protected. Nothing's going to happen to you. We ain't going to have it. They would be very remiss to mess with you. And I believe that too, I also knew that the tools are not the same in a spiritual warfare when it comes to this kind of warfare. I take love, hope, faith. I take my discernment and my intuition. And I don't lie. I don't have to lie. I'm allowed to withhold information. I'm not tell. But I don't lie. And I just know that the strongest thing that's out there, the strongest vibration I can have on any place in this universe is love. And so I take a lot of that with me. And with that, then I go And believe me, there have been times that I cared enough about the people I was having to battle that I actually came to God and said, listen, will you give me a little bit more time to see if I can turn these people around? These are people I love, you know. And God granted it, but it didn't do any good. You know, they didn't turn around. You know, that broke my heart, you know, but that's the times when, although you may have won, you don't really win. You know, you don't want to see anybody fall, you know. It's not my wish that anyone should fall, and it's not God's wish either that he loses anybody. But sometimes we have to get our hands dirty. Sometimes we have to throw hands. Sometimes we just have to let them go and let them go to what they do, and let the chips fall where they will with them, and just love them from a distance and wish that they would turn around. But they don't always, you know. The people that came against me are very, they keep to the fight. They just win at all costs, you know, is what they wanted. But, and they just don't know how much they've lost, you know. And they didn't have to do it. They should have, at some point, turned around and said, look, because the most stupidest thing that we could ever do is fight against God. In a word, He created the earth. He created the earth, heavens, the earth, everything in it. Think about that. You think He doesn't know how to beat it, how to defeat it? He didn't have to lift a hand to do it. And so, you know, of course, that's not why I chose God. Just thinks more like, I think more like somebody like that than some of the things I see going on today in the world. I'm kind of disappointed in the way things are, you know, because there's greed is rampant, you know, and you see kids getting, you know, they just aren't getting taught right, or they're being sold, and you know, you see a lot of things that they're heinous, you know, and so seeing that and thinking that, you know, that maybe I could do something to change this world a little bit. If I can walk away, I don't know how long I'll live. I know that I chose to be on this arena and to fight this battle and this war, or whatever we call it. If there's going to be a war, then I'm a frontliner, because I'm the one who's supposed to be leading this outfit, you know, this movement, let's call it. I'm the guy who is going to sound that trumpet, and when it comes to that time, you know, and say it's time to battle, or it's over, you know, and make that strategy that God tells me to do. I'll get it done, and I won't stop until it's done. And that's the one thing that God knows you can count on. He's just supposed to be some kind of a breakthrough, some financial breakthrough. Well, you know, I never asked to be rich. I did ask to be well off enough to take care of my own, take care of a family, and have a nice family. Maybe a home to live in, maybe a nice car. Those things, I don't have really those things yet, but you know what? Like I said, I have utmost faith in God. Those things will come, and they'll be top of the line, because I know how I would be with my kid. If I'm gonna give him something, I want it to be something good, you know, something of quality, and because I think he's a quality kid, good-hearted kid, and that's the way God sees me. Now, does God, the big God up there, think He doesn't have to respect us. We look out to Job. You know, he, he got mad at Job, kind of. You know, but listen, Job went through a whole lot, and so did I. I mean, I wound up losing everything, and then starting this battle, all these battles on nothing, had nothing left. You know, house burned down and whatnot. You know. But you know, I never really complained. I didn't ask for much. I remember my ancestors, and believe me, y'all, but those of you who don't think that there's such thing as reincarnation or your ancestors, let me tell you what, they're on the other side and they're looking out for you and they're guiding you to do the right things, you know, very important to them because what I gathered from all of this was that my ancestors were, I guess, see, I was tasked with breaking all the generational curses of my lineage. That is, I don't know how those really get there, you know. I don't know what someone did to put those on my bloodline. But I do know that it makes everybody in your lineage, when they're up there, they're not as free as they would like to be, you know. It's like they whenever I did break through some those curses, I know there was a celebration up there. They said they're celebrating you today up in heaven because they're free now. They're allowed to wander and go out and about and do the things that they do. And believe me, they're in this fight too. Just like the angels, we have angels who look over you, and they don't generally get involved until you ask them for the help. And I half the time I forget to ask them because I don't see them right here. I know that they're here. You know, I love them. I love them for looking at them because I'm sure that I've seen times when I'd be dead, and I know that they took somebody pretty fast and mighty to be able to stop that from happening. So and every time, at some point, I remember they took my grandparent off of my lineage, off my team, and put some real ascended masters up there for certain things. I guess to teach me something, because that's what they do. They'll lead you into your lessons and whatnot, help you get through them. You know, and this particular one, you know, these people have been attacking me and attacking the crap out of me, you know, and I was told, well, listen, you're allowed to at least defend yourself. And I'm thinking, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that, you know. And it was Jesus who talked to me. He said, look, the very power that you have inside you is the very power that God used to create the heavens and the earth. There's not anything that you can't do if you need to. And if you're defending yourself, you're important enough. You need to defend yourself. And those attacks may slow down some. Well, it's kind of like, you know, sometimes, even here in the 3D, you know, you got to fight. And if you don't, you're probably going to get picked on a lot. So, you know, it's the same way. You know, sometimes you have to put up that fight. And at this particular time, it's getting pretty bad. And I said, okay. And so that's what I got to do it. Now, he didn't tell me how to do it. But he told me what I had. So I simply, you know, asked the angels to go over there and put stops to the nonsense and let them know that they can get hit. You know, they can get busted off on you know. And I was told later on that was a pretty mighty attack. It's pretty vicious. You know, I don't know what happened. I don't know. It seemed like some kind of a storm, something. But you know, and it's not something I did. I do much. Generally, I'll just transmute the energy, and I don't even send it back, because since then I've become an ascended master. So I'm sure that if I get angry and I throw something like that at him back, at him, and times 10 can be pretty vicious, and I was not to kill them. I'd like to turn them around and make them see that the error of their ways, that God doesn't enjoy punishing us. You know, He doesn't enjoy seeing us get hurt or anything like that. And in fact, He gets pretty nasty and mean about it when one of His children gets attacked. And He can get pretty angry after a while. He does get fed up with it. He will do something. And there's nothing on God's green earth that's going to stop him from doing what He's going to do. So that's like the fires out there in California. I don't think those were just undirected things. I think there's things going on out there in Hollywood and whatnot that are not to God's liking, and that's something that they need to look at. Because if I'm right, which I figure I am, they need to check themselves on that. And, you know, we all need to check ourselves, because, listen, there is a God who loves us, and He got the same emotions that we've got. He gave us our emotions, okay? He wants us to have fun. He wants us to laugh, play, you know, and He wants us to take care of each other. And He doesn't want us doing the things that that the two laws that I live by. He doesn't want us to break those laws, and that law is love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. You know, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. And so that's what the getting ready was a lot of, and it was learning how to love myself. Because when you're an abused black sheep in your family, it is hard to come past all of the crap that they put in your head, you know, that you're not good enough and whatnot. You know, there's a whole lot of shit they put in your head, and it's just, you know. So I say, parents, you have such a big impact on the way your children grow up to be and who they grow up to be. So do it right. Make sure the children know that they're loved. First off, take care of them. And always make them know that they're capable and worthy to do whatever they want to do, and that whatever it is, support them. I didn't get any of that, you know. And the biggest support I ever got was from God. And He said, look, you know, even when I was screwing up, you know, real bad, I got to being kind of thinking, man, what have I got myself into here? You know, because, you know, I mean, this was all a new experience to me. And but whenever I went out and I got messed up or something, and God came to me, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to talk to Him. I really didn't want to see Him, because I felt guilty. And He told me something that was kind of profound, that I'd never heard it said in that kind of way. But He said this to me, and it might help y'all, any of y'all, to know this. I mean, that just said in the way that God said it to me. He said, when I came to you and when I asked you to come in, do you think I didn't know who you are? Do you think I don't know everything that you do? I do. I know everything that you do. He said, how many times in your lifetime do you think I've forgiven you? Had to be a lot of them, I'll tell you that, because I sure as hell ain't perfect. And he said, listen, my child, my son, died for the sins that you're committing. It's paid for. And the one thing I need you to do is get on the job and do what you're supposed to be doing. I don't have time to do this guilt thing. I don't have time or the need feel that guilty, come and tell me you're sorry, and just get on back to work and let's get this thing done. We got things to do. So and know that I love you, and I'm not here to punish you. I'll forgive you. I will forgive you. I don't go out of mindlessly going and doing things, but know that we're in this together, and I need you to do what you're supposed to be doing. And I got that because in my lifetime it wasn't like that. It was like you're gonna get punished big, and life is gonna get real hard for you if you get caught screwing up. That's not the way God is. He's got an agenda too, if you're part of that agenda. And we all are, by the way, because every one of us came down here with some kind of a purpose to do. And it's the time in which we came down here to be. We did come down here with a purpose, because before we got even born again, we agreed to something from God. He spoke to us then, and he said, "Listen, will you do this for me? Will you go down and take care of this for me?" Yes, God, I will. That's the contract with God, and that's going to be done. And if it's not done, then you have not done what you came here to do. Now, I don't know what your purpose is. Mine is my own purpose, and it's pretty big. So, and I understand, I have to be there, I got to be able to do it. Well, let me say to God right now, yes, I'm going to be here for it. I'm going to do what it is that you need, and I'm in it. I'm in it all the way to the end of it. That you can count on. Because I trust you. I do trust you. I've always trusted you. And I haven't stopped. I trust you more now than I trusted you back then, because I've seen you. I've known you. And I've known what you do. And you have no idea how much I look up and think that how great you are. The things that you do for everybody and me. So it is my want and wish that I'll always be on this team with you, and that you trust me, because I know you've trusted me. To trust me to do what I say I'll do. I will do it. I've never been a man of a whole lot of words, but when I say, I mean. I love you, God. Now, that's a statement that I came here for, and to tell y'all a little bit about what this is all about. To those people who are my ops, then I should probably say, sorry for your loss, but the loss is not something you should have ever had to undergo, because you weren't. What you took wasn't yours. Still isn't. And the lies that you told about me were heinous. They were dastardly and diabolical, and I just can't believe that people of my own flesh and blood would ever have said such things about me, or done such sneaky, vicious things. And you know who you are, and you know why you did it, and who did it, and all that. And forgiving you has been a process, but I'm forgiving you only for one reason, and that's to keep it off of me. Because I'm not going to carry your weight around. You did this. This is all on you, so you're forgiven. Doesn't mean you get to come and hang out with me or anything, or I'm going to swap spit with you. It's not going to happen. But I turn it over to the Most High and let Him deal with it. Because when people tell you who they are, everybody needs to hear this. You need to believe them. Because I've not seen too many people who displayed that kind of viciousness that much kind of greed, whatnot, they're not about changing. They are who they say they are. Now, whether or not that's the demons inside of them, because they've got some demons that they're carrying around, I can't save you. What I can do is say, go see God before you're off this planet. And believe me, that's not too far away. Because you just kept up, and you get in God's way. And you get in mind. So, go see Jesus and see what you need to do to get right. And I would suggest that you do that before you can't do it. Okay? And let me say a little shout out to a little poet, little girl I just started talking to, but I listen to every single day because she does poetry that is like words straight from God. Go on, little girl. Little girl, you're doing great. And I admire you. Alright, that's all I got to say. I hope you all got something out of that you understand who I am. I mean, I'm nobody special. I'm not a perfect guy. But anybody wants to be on the side of light, everything you do, put a little love into it. Be authentic with people. And know that what you're saying, there's no consequence to what you're saying if you're saying it out of love. And if you get your feelings hurt in it, whoever hurt your feelings is going to be in trouble, not you, if you're acting out of love. And remember that God sees all intention. He always checks the intention of what you did. What did you intend to do? What were your intentions? Were they pure? Were they not pure? Remember that. That's important for everyone to know. And don't think for a minute that God doesn't see, because he's got his eyes. And they're a lot more than bigger than ours are. So those of you who go around stalking people, he sees that too. Those gang stalking and whatnot, doing the sneaky little thing, he knows. So, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you might feel like you get away with it for a while, but eventually, it's all going to come to light. He loves mankind, and so do I. And I intend to see mankind survive and get back to that garden, because that's what we're trying. We're trying to get back to the garden, and we will get there if the people who are God's children come on in, and get on this deal with us. It's not about religion. It's about the family of man, and the family of man, his father is God. He is part of our family too. You can look at it like that. It's a little easier to see why we are who we are. Because he made us this way. We're made in his image. It's pretty important stuff to know. You may want to start trying to kind of conducting yourselves in a way that's like that. Now, I'm not saying I do that. I'm not always right. But that much of it is right. So, love y'all. To the people I know, I'm here. Don't worry. We won't go to this battle or this war, that I won't be there with you. I love you all. Good night.